Okay.
If I could, while they're doing this, there was a topic I wanted to bring up that I'm not sure we're going to get a chance to talk about otherwise. I'm going to be speaking about an area in Douglas Lake that I cleared from macrophytes.
Okay.
And I think I'm the last talk today, so if some of you aren't here, I wanted you to be aware of it. So it's a potential area that other people can do some research on, and I'll elaborate on that close to 4 o'clock. But essentially, I'm interested in the effect of these cabin size or lot size disturbances on lakes where people modify the area and in 60 to 100 foot sections, taking the weeds out, to improve the aesthetics of their cabin, and try to see what effect that has on that kind of disturbance on the rest of the biota. There's lots of other projects that people can come in on. And last summer, we managed to clear a section like that out on Grapevine Point, and I'll have a chance to maintain it this summer. So if people are looking for patches within the lake and quick comparisons, and especially with your class, it's close by, it's accessible, you can walk to it from your classrooms. I'll give you some more ideas of things to do with it, but it's there and it exists, and we could even expand it if there's enough interest. We've got some preliminary data, really preliminary, that shows that at least it might be an interesting thing to look at a little farther. So that's all I want to talk about it more at some point, but otherwise, see the thing close to 4 o'clock or talk to me if you want to do anything with it.
Should I be up there?
Maybe. I'm just trying to get it.
I don't know.
Is it running over the C drive?
Where in the document it is, but take it down more.
What page? Is this doing it over the web, or is this it's on the C drive? Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, alternative 1, do nothing.
So I've sent everyone at the meeting a link for these files related to the Maple River. So this is the engineering document about the dam removal. Alternative 1, do nothing. That's not part of the plan. Alternative 2, maintain a lake and provide fish passage system. Lower down in the document, there are images of all these engineering plans. Alternative 3, partial removal of dam with purpose of maintaining a lake impoundment. Alternative 4, I think, is partial removal of the existing structure with the purpose of sediment management. And the last alternative is it's removing the structure. Go further down.
Just moving slow.
Oh, okay.
For whatever reason. Oh, did I miss 5? That's still part of 4.
There it is. Full removal of existing structure. And so far as I know from Chris Pierce of Conservation Resource Alliance, they're going for alternative 5, full removal of the existing structure. So it's something, if you have time, not necessarily now, but read the document, I guess. I thought, since we have the projector, it would be most useful to look at the watershed, and Kevin downloaded a very detailed map. I don't know if Troy, is Troy here? If you want to come up and talk about where you think studying the river and its watershed is important.
For some people who haven't seen the watershed, do you want to just give us 1 minute, because there's some new people who don't know this distribution. Can you just run us through?
I don't know that I'm the best person to do that. So the east branch of the Maple River runs out of, it's the main outlet, or the only outlet for Douglas Lake.
Yep.
The west branch, it starts in, is it Larks Lake? Which is a small, shallow lake.
Over to the left.
Yeah, Lark's Lake up here.
But the West Branch is mostly groundwater fed. Where they meet is where the dam is and forms
Down here.
Lake Kathleen. And then from there, the Maple River flows into Burt Lake and Maple Bay.
And the Pleasant View Swamp we were talking about is over in this area on the West Branch.
Pleasant View Swamp?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically it. Very little urban, Pelston being the only.
Is that it?
Wow, the big town of Van. There is a gas station at this intersection. So. Then Levering, another gas station, and one restaurant.
But there is that whole section up there where like Van Creek comes in, and there's a large area that, I don't know what that happens.
Van Creek right here.
It's sort of the northern, it's along 31, but it's on the western side of 31 there. Is it, what is that?
Up in this area?
Yeah, just a little bit farther north there. All that, is that?
Got a bunch of larch in there.
That's Van Creek, it's called.
Yeah. And Van Creek seems to only flow sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I've sampled out there, and a lot of times it's dry.
Yeah, I've never been on that creek, actually. That flows into
Mark,
the East
you know
Branch.
something about Van Creek, don't you?
Yeah, it's running right now, and normally never does.
Oh, really?
Because it's a very high river lake this year. It often doesn't run at all in the middle of the summer and on to September and October. It has no fish in it, I don't think. I'm mainly worried about bad things getting up in the Douglas Lake to remove the dam.
So, in that alternative that has full removal of the dam, in the plan is to have a low head barrier to keep out the sea lamprey.
Good.
That's only one thing though, that's in the inland waterway, that's not in Douglas Lake.
Is there any way that the restoration could be done in phases where they could actually show that the Lowhead Dam is going to be effective at keeping, in other words, could they set that up ahead of time? Or are they going to build that structure right where the current dam exists? Or, in other words, if they build it ahead of time, we could start to do an assessment, see that it's actually effective, keeping the rusty crayfish out and other gobies and everybody else out.
I think that's an excellent idea. I think that, I doubt that's part of the plan. Because this is grant funding that they have to spend.
So when they talk about connectivity, are they really just talking about salmon runs? Is that what they're thinking? Salmon and steelhead?
As far as conservation resource alliance, I think they're considering more than fish. It should be. But I know that but they've got half the money raised.
Yeah, about half.
So they've got a long way to go. And anything else that adds expense to it.
So
They're probably resistant to that.
the LCC, the Landscape Conservation Cooperative, and the Nature Conservancy, when they say connectivity, they're really emphasizing the native, sort of native fishes, the ability for the system to function. So, defragmented
Right.
system, and they are sort of consciously not focused on salmon steelhead. So there's different species.
I just don't see how other things are going to get by that dam. Or at least the lamprey control station.
It's a problem.
You don't see what? How other things?
I don't see how native fishes and crayfishes and other native species, other than things that are winged, can emerge and fly, are going to get around that or over it. Maybe salmonids can do it, but I can't see. So in other words, I don't think that they're going to improve the connectivity by doing this. I mean, they end up having to put that dam there. It's going to change lots of other things. It's going to be important, but I don't think the fragmentation is going to go away.
That's something definitely that can be tested as part of a study.
Yeah, we can do that.
Want to give me give them a history of why the dam is there and how it's involved?
That would be great if you could do that.
Well, in 1903, Mr. Bogartis constructed a dam, and Bogartis was the guy whose father-in-law was Mr. Pelson. You know all this. And he built a dam there for hydroelectric power. He used to run various plants in Pellston. And you can still see where the generator was as a concrete chunk there. And then after a while, of course, Mr. Bogartis went broke, and I think the idea of having electricity generated locally was not important, so they let it go. And I think about 20 years later, the dam went out, bingo. And washed tremendous amount of sand down the river and hurt the habitat quite a bit for trout. But over the years, that's gotten better now. The lower end of the Maple's a wonderful place for brown trout. So a man, I can't remember his name, Mac something, he owned some land up near Mackinac City on what's in Shallow Lake up there, French Farm Lake. He owned land up near French Farm Lake, and he approached DNR and said, I'll trade you this piece of land if you let me have the area where the dam is, which was owned by the state at that time. And they said, okay, but you have to be sure you do the dam right if you're going to rebuild it. So he built the dam much better than the previous dam that went out. And then he built the dam site in, the restaurant. And that's the way it is now. But he didn't own the land around the lake. And that was acquired by, what's the name of it? The people that, the Wrigley heirs? Allfield. They bought that land about 20 years ago with the idea of developing it. And they changed their mind. And the last thing I heard, they wanted to give it to LTC, but LTC is concerned about the dam as a liability if it ever goes out again. Because now there are lots of cottages along the river that would really suffer. And that's, as far as I know, I think the owners might help on this thing. I don't know. We'd have to find out. They certainly have the money to do it if they want. They gave $1 million a year to LTC for 10 years, so we know they have money. But that's as far as I know. I've always been concerned about opening up that dam and allowing undesirable organisms to get up into the other side. So that's a history. It's now closed off to the public, but people do go in and fish once in a while before they find out about it. In fact, we have a member of our staff that fished there and didn't know it. That's the story, the history of the place.
So, yeah, we had started, before I started 11 years ago now. And I know Will Spikehill, former coworker, had pursued this for a while, working with the Allfields, and they were resistant to doing anything about the dam. And I know Packy Allfield now is, I don't remember what he has, but he's in poor health, and I think and that has changed his outlook, and that's why now he's open to both the conservancy of the property and the family. So DRA has come in to take advantage of, in order, not take advantage, but.
Well, the conservancy would like to have it, of course. And they did acquire a bunch of land along the Maple just upstream. So they own quite a bit of the west branch of the Maple from the dam up toward Robinson Road. And that's a highly desirable trout fishing habitat.
You know, Paul, that they have other strong leads for funding to remove the dam? I know they're stalling on a project on the Jordan right now, too.
Oh, are they?
Money.
We might have more time than.
Yeah, it might not happen if they still got $500,000 to go. That's a big chunk of money.
Well, I know when I contacted Chris Pierce, he wondered whether some of the money from Sea Grant, if there's a successful application, could go towards removing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My initial thought was no.
Right.
Because it's science-based cost, not construction or deconstruction, I guess. I wasn't aware that they were stalling on other projects.
Yeah, well, it's kind of different areas, so
Yeah.
funding sources.
Okay.
They usually are pretty good about who to on board with them. So very good fundraising for these things. Chances are still they won't get the money, but there is a possibility that they don't. Usually when they get funding for a grant related project, they only have so much time to raise the rest of the money, otherwise they have to return
Yeah.
the money that they've already got. Depends on where those funds are from that they currently have.
Okay.
Would it be worthwhile at all, assume the dam's gonna be pulling out and have a discussion about key sampling sites we wanna go to start designing? Because I mean, if we're all in this room and say we need to hit this and this and this, and then as we go home, we can figure out, we can add to that plan of how we're gonna sample it and when we're gonna sample it.
I think that's an excellent idea. I'm not necessarily the one to pinpoint it. I don't know if anybody in this room wants to volunteer.
There's no listed types of monitoring or surveys that, I think that's a place to start.
Yeah, well, you said you've got a team that samples 4 spots. Could you point those out?
Yeah, let me use the cursor to do it. Yeah, they're at road string crossings. So, and we don't have all the roads on this map, unfortunately. But the lowest road is Brutus Road down here. Wait, no, it's to the north. Wait, where are we? Oh, there's Maple Bay. So this road right here, they sample there. They sample the dam. They sample at Robinson Road here at Pelston, just upstream in the West Branch. And then there's sampling at Pleasant View Road on the West Branch, wherever that crosses in this vicinity, I think.
We did RSX up in on Vancouver.
RSX, yeah, that's another thing we've been in. Megan helped with that, and Juliet, road stream crossing inventories. So we've got a lot of data now for all the major road stream crossings where we assess those and look at the shape of the culvert, fish passage issues. We do velocities, reference reaches of the channel, basically doing discharge measurement. So we have that from areas throughout the watershed. So anyway, with the macro invert data that the volunteers collect, we have those 4 sites. We did not select any sites on the East Branch because of concerns of the Hungerfords. After I talked to Bob and a couple, decided we would not sample those areas.
So maybe not everyone's aware that there's a federally endangered species on the East Branch of the Maple River.
On the entire East Branch.
Yeah, so that's, a very important piece here, especially as far as the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is concerned.
Please chime in.
I think there's sort of a way around that, though, and my suggestion would be going along with what I was saying this morning, that reducing emergence trapping, adult emergence trapping, which requires not disturbing the river at all, and will not catch Hungerford's water wheels. So it would be a way to avoid federally endangered species issue, but still get a very good sample of aquatic invertebrate insect groups. Not only that, but if we know we're kind of time constrained here, it doesn't take much to get some emergence traps out at key locations above and below dam, East Branch and West Branch, and get the samples, which can be identified later.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with that, but I do think that's going to miss some of the background work.
Well, no, it will. I know, but I'm saying if you can't sample destructively in the river because of Hungerfords, this is one way at least to get some of the key groups.
Do you think that they would let us put out like Hester denny traps or other types of sampling devices that wouldn't be destructive to the bottom to sample
Drip traps and stuff?
Yeah, using drip traps or other things.
My guess is that I should call, or maybe Kevin would even know the person at the Fish and Wildlife Service to talk to about this, because
I don't know.
I would guess that they would survey the stream for the Hungerfords.
Oh, yeah, actually I do know who, Heather Rawlings.
Okay. It'd be interesting if they could expand their range to downstream of the dam.
So, I mean, that's one way you could pitch it, right? Is if you put these out and say, this is a potential expansion possibility.
Yeah.
Expansion, yes.
If we got permission to sample for the beetle, we could also sample other mackerel invertebrates as a.
Right.
If we pitch it as it's trying to understand the population that's there and where they are.
Yeah. The Fish and Wildlife Service may be doing this all. That we have to find out.
They're not.
No, you don't think so?
I know they're not.
Okay. Dave, where are you sampling?
That's yet specifically to be determined. But my initial idea is to further down from the dam, right at the dam, and at least 2 sites in the east and the west. I don't know exactly where along that will be yet.
Speaking for the base of the food web in the river, I think it's critical that we sample the variety of substrates that are there and try to determine where most of the productivity is going on. Is it epidendric? Is it on commo? Is it on larger rocks? Is it in the sand? Because we haven't partitioned species or productivity or algae in those various habitats. So wherever we choose stations, I think it's critical that we look at microhabitat and try to assess the quantity of the different types of microhabitat available.
Yeah.
Which ones might be most impacted?
Calling a Michigan monkey farm right there by the dam.
There is.
Is that right?
In that seat.
Which may go away if they remove the dam, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which that's in another endangered species?
Yes.
Federally?
I think so, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It's Michigan listed at least in the recent
Okay.
species.
Another concern might be trying to, I imagine a lot of the sediment will eventually end up in the delta, but trying to sample that delta area might be particularly, because you've got, being a delta, you've got shifting streams all the time. So I would think some careful planning would have to go into sampling that. You just can't sample anywhere there. It would take some thought to kind of quantify what's going on.
Yeah, so like Paul Seelbach said, I think it'd be good to have a geomorphologist on this project. I think that's beyond any of us here.
And that can, depending on where this goes, I've talked to Paul and Troy. I think the MSU hydrology department has been doing a lot of work in other streams in our area, and I think pretty good work. So we could potentially engage them if we don't find others that are willing to take that on. Anthony Kendall and then it's one possibility.
So we have to characterize the physical environment, which would be the sediment and the water, and then we get into the biota, which would be both terrestrial and aquatic plants. I think Denny Albert's interested in doing the terrestrial plants. You're in for the aquatic plant. Is Pat not here this year?
No, he's writing a grant, but the dean has his thumb on him, and he has to stay put.
And that's something that the class could?
Not the vascular plants. We'll do the
No.
parallel.
Yeah, that.
Denny would be willing to do those.
Yeah.
That would be the vascular plants. We can focus in quite a bit, so we can help with that.
Is that right? Okay.
Aquatic plants, once they get out of the water, or submergence.
The limno course, depending on where we want to sample, could definitely do the physical chemical stuff as well as macro invertebrates, depending on how we sample.
And you can do the plants like you did in Douglas.
What's that?
You do the macrophytes too, potentially.
Yes.
And I could talk with Paul Webb. I think the plan is to have his fish course this year, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully that he has enough enrolled to do that. So that could be
great.
Okay.
Would, I don't know, would maybe some LiDAR work make sense for this? I mean, you could get at substrate changes on the entire stream channel, that technology.
When is the most recent LiDAR data from at the biological station?
2009.
2009.
Is it for this whole watershed though?
It goes as far west as the airport, south to Carp Creek entrance and divert, and then as far east as Just about halfway north Fishtail Bay. Not the.
So it wouldn't cover the dam.
Yeah, that wouldn't cover the
reservoir.
but it, yeah.
I think that would be critical, honestly. I second that idea. I think having that data would be, especially around the dam area, so you're talking about how much the influence of the dam is already upstream. I think you really see that with the LiDAR data.
I could talk with Jason Talent about that, because I know that he was talking about getting that data, new LiDAR data, somehow cooperatively with the county at a very reduced price. Yeah, it's
Two
great.
counties here, you can.
Would that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's working with both counties right now.
Wait, who?
Jason.
Jason.
So, you know, I think there's, I don't want to speak for all the classes, but I know in picking sites, you know, access is a challenge. It's really good to get away from the roads, but that's where we often sample. And so I know that there's a lot of data. It would be nice if we can co-locate our samples with sampling that's been done historically. So if we can find dissertation points or anything, and we've got good data sets, then we can, even if we only have this one opportunity to sample this summer, we can at least go back and say, well, how did that sample compare to what we've done in the 90s or the 80s or whatever? Because I think we want to leverage as much data as we can in the past, because we don't have a lot of time to collect data before this thing might happen. I mean, it probably won't happen right away, but it could happen really quickly. So if we can, in other words, what I'm saying is when we're prioritizing sites, it'd be nice if we could pull in that historic data. And I guess, Dave, are you doing that? You're pulling some of that?
I'm trying to pull as much as we have out of the station, the existing data.
The existing database.
Yeah, and I'm just scraping the surface right now.
Okay.
But
I think Bob Vanderkopf might have some, you know, insights about, you know, dissertations and things where people might have done some studies. I know I had 3 sites in the East Branch, and one of them is the Strings Lab, which is a really handy place to sample.
And to add to that, Troy, we've been compiling data from DEQ, EPA, USGS, for the like watershed. I've had Dan Myers, my coworker, doing that. We've got 60,000 records or something. That's the entire watershed. Big Crooked River and Sturgeon River.
And that's data they've collected. That's not even biological station.
Right. This is all from these agencies.
So I think if we start pulling that cloud of data together, it'd be real clear what areas have been sampled, and we might want to continue to sample, or maybe not even. Maybe you don't want to sample those areas. I don't know. But do you get the impression from the data you looked at that they're very close to road crossings? Because that's my.
Yeah, pretty much always.
How difficult is it to access the delta where it goes into Burt Lake?
Well, it's a struggle enough that I'm told not to try to have it.
I did it twice and both times.
It's a struggle, you say?
Yeah, I've taken a canoe through it, and it was a struggle.
Even with the canoe?
It's
yeah.
well, it's logs like this.
It's a braided stream.
Yeah.
Lots of poison ivy, so I've heard.
Is that where their logs run down the Maple River?
There were,
Okay.
there's still some big logs down in the holes that just got away from them.
Be a drone.
Yeah.
yeah, no.
A drone with a Van Dorn and.
Yeah.
You joke about it, but that actually is not a bad idea. If you had a way to pull the YSI or something all the way down that creek several times and actually look at the changes as you go down, that would be very instructive in terms of where the critical change points are for physical parameters.
I've been communicating with a guy in Walden Lake who's involved with a balloon kite mapping drone project that wants to do some work locally. I think he's established, I can't remember what, she's in a different state, but has a place in Walden Lake. So I wonder if with a balloon that you could actually do something like that. He might be really interested in expanding what he's doing.
Yeah. I think Jason had a balloon last year, right? That he took some pictures with and then it crashed, maybe. But he got some neat pictures from it.
There's Ben Harmon too, who's has a nice post.
That's his stuff that's up there.
And he said, he was talking to him earlier, he can go below 1 centimeter resolution.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
He can
But
distinguish.
the problem is here, he has to have contact with his vehicle. He has to be there.
He has to see it.
Oh, yeah. But he can distinguish between levels of this size and standard rates.
Good.
Kevin, with all your connections to the community, do you have much contact with that fishing club? Is there still a fishing club that's on the Maple River there, below Maple River Road? Or right
Below Maple River Road, there's a golf course.
There's not a hunting or a fishing club
Is it
there?
time to reconvene?
Yeah, we have to start our
There could be.
afternoon, well, that's 4 minutes past, so 4 minutes from now, we'd like to start on our first round of afternoon talks. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will put together an outline of what we talked about, and which could be for, the future of what we're planning.
Yeah, so I think it's critical to get baseline data this summer, put us in a position to get grant money for impact.
Yeah.
And what I was gonna suggest is that the people who have the various groups ideas that they have for sampling, to send those to you so that you can.
That would be excellent if people want to contribute information. Otherwise, I will be asking for it anyway. Okay. Yay, Aquatics Group.
Yeah.